If you have clicked on this video today and you are looking for support and advice to help with your anxiety, then let me start by saying you are not alone. I understand how you are feeling completely, as I have suffered from anxiety for a long time. I refused to let anxiety get in the way of my goals in life, and I hope by sharing my journey with you and giving you some advice on how I deal with anxiety, that together we can push our boundaries with me, Hayley's help. Anxiety is a feeling of unease, such as worry or fear, that can be mild to severe. We all get anxiety from time to time, particularly at stressful times in our life. So this could be getting married, this could be going on a first date, this could be preparing for a job interview. You can get those anxious feelings that come along with it, and this is perfectly normal. However, if you are finding it hard to control your worries and your anxious feelings are more constant and affecting your day-to-day living, then my first piece of advice is always contact your doctor. You can discuss with them how you are feeling, and they can put in place a plan of action that will be suitable and personalised to your specific needs and situation. After consulting my doctor, I was actually diagnosed with generalised anxiety disorder, and I wanted to share with you guys my journey on how I deal with managing my fears and my worries. I did a post on the community board, and an overwhelming amount of people bravely shared with me their own personal fears, again, further proving we are not alone when it comes to dealing with anxiety. During this series, we are going to be discussing some of the common fears and the self-help methods that I used in overcoming my anxiety. Today's task I am going to be sharing with you is my trip to the grocery store. This generally tends to make my anxiety heighten, and I get those feelings that come along with anxiety where we feel clammy, we feel a sense of doubt, I start feeling like I can't do it, shall I just not go? And then what tends to happen with my anxiety is I end up avoiding going to those places where I have that uncomfortable feeling. In order to allow myself to stop staying in my home and avoiding the supermarket, I pushed my boundaries. I took on that I was creating avoidance behaviours, and I was avoiding going to the store because it was uncomfortable. I didn't like the sensations that I got with it. I would have a thought in my mind often that I was going to have a panic attack and faint. I was going to fall on the dirty, hard floor at the store. Everyone was going to look at me. And I had nothing to really suggest that that wasn't going to happen because I wasn't going to the store. So for me, in my mind, I'd convinced myself by not going to the store, I was safe and that couldn't possibly happen because I wasn't at the store, I was at home. And as uncomfortable as it was, what I took to doing was actually pushing myself out of my comfort zone, going to the store, and by doing that, it enabled my mind to register that actually, although I felt uncomfortable and I was getting these sensations, I wasn't in any danger. I wasn't going to faint. I was just feeling anxiety at that particular moment in time. When we avoid situations, we're not then allowing ourselves time to actually solve that problem and tackle it. So what I was doing was training my brain to become more fearful and anxious over a perceived danger. The only way that I could learn that I wasn't in any danger at the store was by actually going back to the store and putting myself in that situation to see there was no danger there. So why do we get the feeling of anxiety? Let's imagine we are walking through a forest and it's dark. That feeling of anxiety will potentially creep in. Nothing has happened, nobody is bothering us, but we are aware that it is getting darker and we are in a forest. We suddenly believe there is a potential danger there. The experience of anxiety and fear are almost identical, except in the case of anxiety, there may not be any actual danger. We just think there is. This is where those horrid feelings and sensations we often get come into play when we feel anxious. It's important for us to understand the way our bodies react to threat or danger, whether that be real or imagined. When we are in danger, or we believe we are in danger, a number of changes occur within the body. This is the fight or flight response. When confronted with danger, we typically will flee from the situation or stand and fight. The main purpose of the fight or flight response is to keep us safe. It's doing its job on what it's designed to do. However, it can be triggered when it isn't actually needed. It's important to remember when the fight or flight is activated, it is not dangerous, but it can cause further panic within us because 3 major systems are affected. Physically, as soon as danger is perceived, the brain sends a message to our autonomic nervous system. The physical changes we feel from this are an increased heart rate and beat. This enables blood to pump around the body faster, so that oxygen gets delivered more promptly to the various tissues of the body and waste products can be effectively eliminated. This is why, I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, when I am feeling moments of anxiety, I get a really upset stomach, and on occasions I have been known to actually physically vomit. This is the exact reason why that is happening. There is also a change in blood flow away from places where it is not needed, such as the skin, the fingers and toes, towards places it is likely to be needed. These are things like the large organs and muscles. The physical change results in the skin looking pale and feeling cold, and you can also experience cold, numb and tingling fingers and toes. As well as changes to the heart rate, there are also changes to the speed and depth of our breathing. This is very important as it provides the tissues with extra amounts of oxygen required to prepare for action. The feelings produced by this increase in breathing can include breathlessness, choking or smothering feelings, tightness and even pain in the chest. Now we're a bit more clued up about what happens to our bodies when anxiety creeps in, let's now get into how I go about dealing with anxiety when going to the grocery store. As I head to the store, I generally feel okay. It's usually as I physically get inside the store that annoying anxiety symptoms creep in. Anxiety symptoms will differ from person to person, but generally for me, I tend to feel dizziness, clammy hands and shaking. I used to also get a kind of like pain in my heart, but that has stopped now. And I do believe that is because I keep exposing myself to my fears on a regular basis. And I've began making friends with the symptoms that anxiety brings. When I get the symptoms, I actually, in my head, say, thank you, body, for doing what you are supposed to do, but I am safe and I don't require you right now, and I let it ride out. It doesn't actually subside instantly, but it does go away a lot quicker than it used to. This is a really cool thing that I take with me. I basically call it my worry wood. It's actually an air freshener, and it's a wooden one, and you put essential oils on it and it clips onto your car. But I've actually started using this as kind of like a grounding tool. I just find it really useful because it's got its texture and then you can smell the scent. This is really good at kind of bringing you back into the here and now. When I get to the store and it comes to parking, I like to park towards the front of the store. I tell myself if you do need to leave, you're close to the car, and that also enables me to feel slightly less anxious than I usually would. When I began doing this, I did start with a big food shop, and that was a bad idea for me. I knew I had to push myself, but what I ended up doing was pushing myself way too far, way too soon. So I completely abandoned my trolley and I left the store. The next time I went, I just started with a few items, and I told myself it's 5 to 10 minutes in the store and feeling uncomfortable, and then you'll be out. And this worked perfectly for me as I gradually built it up from there. I also made an active point of pushing myself to do the weekly food shop on my own and not just with Robbie. I did notice that I didn't feel as anxious when I had someone with me, and that too is not healthy because you're swapping one avoidance behaviour for another, i.e. I wouldn't go unless I had someone accompanying me. Once I finished the shopping, I always return home and write my worries, fears, thoughts I then write how anxious I felt between 1 to 10, and I then write the facts. This is what actually happened and how my anxiety is now on a scale of 1 to 10. This is a really important step for me because it allows me to look back on previous trips and physically see I did it before, I felt that anxiety, I felt that uncomfortable feeling, but I still did it. I was okay and I wasn't in any danger. The more I do this, I am retraining my brain to separate facts from thoughts. I completely understand how unbearable it is to have the intolerance to uncertainty, but I remind myself it is not possible to be certain about everything in life. Yes, bad things do happen, but there is also a likelihood of a positive or neutral outcome too. It is possible to live with the small chance that something negative may happen, given its likelihood is very low, and it's completely okay to live with some of the uncertainties in life. My fear of the store began due to COVID-19 happening and lockdown, and this is really common, but by doing what I have showed in the vlog, I'm finally starting to find getting to the shops not so much of a problem anymore. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I hope you have found this video helpful and I hope you can take some comfort from this video today. If you're looking for more information around anxiety, I have left lots of links in the description box for you to take a look at, so go and check them out. I will be back again next week with another video, and until then, guys, continue pushing boundaries with Hayley's help. I love you all. Mwah.